girlfriend. All right, Judy Herman here. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm a little bit late. I usually am right Johnny on the spot at noontime Eastern. I have a wonderful guest with me, and her name is Lisa George. She sometimes goes by Lisa G, and she was the very last speaker. You went through all of that, Lisa. You were the last speaker. Bless your heart. Don't know how you did it, because for me, had a lot of jitteries, and I was in the first part of the program. But welcome, Lisa. Lisa has so much to share. In fact, her speech at the tail end of the Women's Summit last week, along with Les Brown and John Tallarico, in honor of International Women's Day, Lisa was able to give us a real, I guess, a real summary of International Women's Day. I learned something. And it's been around for, you said 110 years, right?
Yeah, 110 years. Yeah. I love research, so I take advantage of any moment to do research.
Yes. Well, so share with us who you are, who you help. Yeah.
So by the way, I was the second to last. Asia was the last. So
you know what? Thank you for correcting me on that. Asia was the last, wasn't it?
Yeah. Now it was just as, interesting being second to last, but she closed it out like the trooper that she is. Yeah.
And I do want to say the first shall be last. We know that in scripture, right? The last shall be first, right? But you were the next to the last, which really does qualify you too, as being the bookend.
Yeah. So I like to say that my official title is a vessel of love, and what that looks like is a mom, sister, publicist, poet, author, motivational speaker, and philanthropist. And that's the simple way of doing it, because I believe we all come here with a mission, and that just, if we're brave enough, or we can and have enough support to guide us along the path to find out what we should be doing, then it was not necessarily one thing. I used to think it was one thing, which was problematic, because it was troubling trying to figure out what that one thing was. But thankfully, I'm a rebel at heart, and I've been a rebel for the longest time. And in being a rebel, I was able to figure out the different things that I wanted to do. And I'm still discovering, which is where the speaker part comes in, because although I've been a speaker in the heart for years, I finally officially took that step last year.
Just to let folks know, we have connected through Les Brown's Power Voice program and also John Tallarico's Thinking into Results program. So we've been in these smaller groups, these mastermind groups, and discovering our passion. Lisa, there's something that you and I really resonate with. I feel like you're such a soul sister, because you are all about the authentic self and all about becoming. It's not like that you arrive. So many people that come in for counseling and they see the counselor, or they might see a coach or consultant such as yourself, and they might think, oh, she's arrived, but that's not the case. And I think that's what you're making really clear. You're still becoming, as Michelle Obama's book, Becoming, her memoir, talks about that. It's not that you arrive, you're continually becoming on this authentic self journey.
Yeah.
So,
and how you look at it, it's a beautiful thing. But you were about to say something.
No, I just I think I talk way too much. I'm going to let you share what's on your heart.
It's a beautiful thing to just keep discovering yourself. I look at every single day as a gift, and you just never know what to expect. Today I knew kind of what to expect, but I left enough room to be open to experience whatever is to unfold. And there's something about being present with that. So that's kind of how I go through life, just, oh, okay, I can sing, which is another story I found out a couple of years ago, just as an example that I always sing, but I can sing really well, and I'm a soprano. And that's something I discovered. If you asked me 5-10 years ago, about singing and being a soprano, I'll think, oh, what are you talking about? I love singing in the shower and around family and friends. But it was a wonderful journey, a very quick journey, where I discovered that. And it was just beautiful. And that made me realize that not only are there those things that probably tap at us, that we know there's something tapping at us, but there's probably things in us that we don't even know are there. But if we leave ourselves open enough, then we can discover it.
That's so true. So many of us, especially in this time, and I know with my clients and some colleagues, we're like, we can be in the middle of whatever we're going through. Perhaps it's a loss.
Right.
Perhaps a person who's spouse is saying, I want a divorce, and it just catches you by surprise when with things that you thought were stable. But it's usually, for me, I don't know if it is for you, but when you go through your dark times, Lisa, it's like that's a time to then reemerge, so to speak,
Yeah.
into a different level of being and awakening. So
Mhm.
the darkness that we go through doesn't have to be, keep us in this small place. And so, but I just love the fact that you have so many interests and you love to learn.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
seems to be a real foundation,
Yeah.
huh?
Yeah. I love learning. I love learning. Which is why I'm now simultaneously learning 12 or 13 languages. And people think, well, can you focus on one? But it's not that. Languages, there's so many people out there who are polyglots, and I learned that term last year. But in the learning of different languages, you actually find out more about people and cultures. And so in a fun way, like if I discover that you speak a language today, I'm going to start learn a different language. I'm going to start learning that language. And then you and I are going to engage in a different type of conversation. And that's really beautiful.
That is beautiful. Actually, there's so much that you just said, the willingness and the curiosity to get into another person's world enough to learn their language,
Yeah.
like that. There's a whole lot that's packed into what you just said, Lisa,
Yeah. Yeah.
because so many people, like couples that are having these messy relationships,
Yeah.
and it's like, if you keep yourself and say, oh, that's your perspective, that's not my perspective, that's not the attitude I hear from you. I hear this willingness to let me get into your world, let me
Yeah.
know you. And
Yeah.
that's a longing that each of us have. We long to be seen, we
Yeah.
long to be heard. And what an honor that is, that you put the time and effort
Yeah.
into learning about, or learning, not just learning about me, but
Yeah.
willingness to get into my world.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and it was also fun, I remember 10, 15 years ago, I thought we're too stuffy on this earth. Everything is so serious. And I just remember there was this loud voice just saying, have more fun, be more fun. There is supposed to be more fun. But I was really quiet about it because well, at least for me, I just kind of learned to be again serious about stuff. You got to go to school and you got to work and everything is just so serious. But that can't be life. And that's what I thought way back when. And within the last 5, 6 years, I gave myself permission just to have a lot of fun,
Wow.
unapologetically. Yeah. And so I have fun with my clients. And you can call any one of them, they'll let you know. I think I'm funny. I really am, and I just like to have fun on a regular basis because
Yes.
we just have too much stuffiness, I think.
Well, so share with us what you do. Like, what is your business, and why folks, as they're listening to you and they want to reach out to you, but what is it? How do you help others?
Right. So one of the things that I do is I'm a publicist, and part of that is amplifying people's messages and in different ways. We're at this time where you realize that there's so many different ways that you can do stuff. So with each client is very specific, and I really get into the clients and what their goals are. It doesn't work if it's my goal. So what are your goals? So there's a lot of conversation, a lot of listening, because there's a lot of things that people don't say, and you really hear their heart. And sometimes people will say what they think you want to hear, or what they think society wants or that industry wants, but there's what you want. And just going back to me, I know that I have a mission. Well, they have a mission too. And as part of helping you amplify your mission, I got to get to understand your mission. So, I've worked with artists. I'm currently working with a chef. I've worked with authors. I've worked with companies, and I'm working with companies right now to help them amplify whatever their mission is right now towards an end goal, whatever that end goal is. So it's a lot of fun because I consider myself a creative, and then doing what I do in order to tap into the target population, you have to be really creative and not in a
Wow.
competitive way at all, because I don't believe in competition. There are almost 8 billion people in the world. There's no need to compete. Just reach out to the people that you're supposed to.
Wow. You know, it's like the skill set that you have, Lisa, is so very common and similar to my skill set. You get into the other person's world, but it's also a skill set for relationships, isn't it? And
Yes,
if you are in a messy relationship, and that's going one way, say, let's just say if you have that skill set, but your spouse or your partner does not have that skill set, and
yeah,
then you end up orbiting around this person, that's not what you want. You want this kind of flow
right,
together. But here, that's
right,
what you do, and you have this wonderful ability to
yeah,
do that. And what a beautiful thing
yeah.
to do. I'm so glad, because I might want to hire you actually, because I am an
Ah,
author. Like when I read
I'll
about
tell
that,
you
oh.
one thing. About 2 weeks ago, one of my clients wasn't feeling well, and we were talking. I said, "You okay?" And the person said, "Yeah." I said, "All right," but I didn't believe them. And then a couple of hours later, they're like, they had a fever of 102, and one.
Wow.
And I said, when I talked to you earlier, you said you were okay. And they're like, I know. And why do I say that jokingly? Is because you really have to be able to tap into people. And like you said, there are similarities. And I'm going to think about that and probably talk to you about that between what you do and what I do. But I was really active at the time and still am in getting this person interviews. And I have to be able to pick up on that pulse because are you ready to do an interview, or how hard should I go and how hard should I push if you're not there in whatever kind of way? And if I push past what I feel in my heart, and then I'm not doing my job.
Mm, that honestly, what you just described is a skill that we need in our relationships, in our most intimate relationships, to be able to read, because there is that part of the brain that we have mirror neurons in our brains, and it's
Mhm.
like this reciprocal where somebody can see something in you that you can't see in yourself, and vice versa. It's kind of
Yeah.
like when you smile at somebody, they're likely to smile back at you, but your mirror neurons are picking up on that, and
Mhm.
we can't even see our faces.
Right.
So in relationship, to be able to read each other, that's an awesome skill. But anyway, you probably didn't know I was going to go in this direction.
I
But
love it. I love it. We've been having fun for anyone who's watching, by the way, since from before we got on live. So
yeah,
it's not
yeah.
an insinuation.
There's so much, even in the things that we do in our professions, that really apply to our day-to-day, most intimate relationships, and our mental health. It's a
Yeah.
very good skill.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this, because here we bonded over this experience. I mean, it was definitely a risk of growth. I call them growth stretches, or a risk of growth. And I use this acronym of breathing in fresh air, awareness and intentionality and risks. And I love it that in your talk, you even talked about, you invited the audience, take a deep breath. And that is so very crucial. So
Yeah.
let me ask you, Lisa, what's one thing that you'd like people to do in order to breathe that fresh air wherever they might be? And that would be the awareness and the intentionality and that risk of growth. What's that one thing that you would want them to do?
Be still.
Mm,
We're in this world where it's almost a command that we're always going, and something's wrong with you if you're not. I think in the last year and a half, we're getting different messages, but you just got to go, 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 go. I was just talking to a colleague about setting boundaries because the expectation is that you go past certain hours and into the weekend. And we're so reachable these days that
mm,
people are confused when you're not responding. And so I just say, be still, because you got
mm,
to be still for many reasons. We have to rest, and then that's when we hear our souls whispers. Our souls always whispering to us. I believe that we're our most, what do I say, that I'm my best counsel. And I believe everyone is their best counsel as well. But the only way we can hear the counseling is if we're quiet. So just
mm.
be quiet. Whatever risk you're supposed to take, you'll hear that. Whatever you're supposed to be intentional about, which is related to your risk, you'll hear that too if you're quiet. And then we really do need to rest more.
Mm.
We don't do enough of that.
Oh my goodness, I am wholeheartedly resonate with your message for sure. It's so needed. How can people, Lisa, get in touch with you if they need a publicist, or they just need somebody to help them to really get clear on their message? Where should they go?
So I just looked down to make sure it was still there. It says Carpe Diems and Stuff. That's my speaker website, but all my websites are connected. So if you go to carpediems and stuff.com, and there's a play on that too, because I say Carpe Diems and Stuff, that's my play on Carpe Diems. And are we truly able to seize the day if
Mm,
we're not, with the weight of things preventing us? And I say, yes, you can do it wherever you are. just as long as you put your best. So carpendmsandstuff.com. And if they want a publicist or any information, or there's in the About Me section, they can click on publicist and it takes you to my other website. They're all connected. So yeah. And Carpet Diems and Stuff is also my IG and Facebook.
Awesome. Oh, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate you, and look forward to more exciting risks that were risks of growth. So yeah, thank you so much, Lisa. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. And you are so amazing. I've said it before. I'm going to say it again. You are amazing. Your energy is so beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Thank you,
Yeah.
Lisa. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.